Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Monday, August 14th open session of the North Andover Select Board. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 5 o'clock p.m. and ask you to stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We're going to dive right into our new business tonight because we are here in light of the events of last week where our town was, a lot of different places in town were flooded and there's a lot of damage, and we're working diligently with all of our town departments, state, etc., to work through it and see what we can do to help people. So our first order of business is a discussion and vote on declaring a state of emergency for the storm that occurred on Tuesday, August 8th, 2023.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have asked our department heads to be here as well in case you have any questions for them. As you know, on August 8th, 2023, we received an unprecedented amount of rain that resulted in subsequent flooding, causing destruction to our infrastructure, commercial businesses, and some residential homes in town. We do think we will have a need to deficit spend, and so we are asking you to ratify the declaration of state of emergency that we declared on Tuesday, August 8th at 2:03 p.m. And so this document that you have and that was linked to your agenda would ratify and confirm that. And again, there are department heads here if you'd like to hear from any of them about their response.
Could you just maybe go a little bit into what deficit spending would be, just so everybody watching?
Sure.
And what that would entail?
So we don't know yet if we will have to deficit spend or not, but basically what that means is that by declaring the state of emergency and having you ratify it, it would allow us to take our account into the red. So it's kind of like when you think of snow and ice. Snow and ice is the one account in the town budget that we have that we know we can always go into the red on. We do anticipate, particularly in DPW, that we will have costs that are not budgeted for. Infrastructure costs, could be overtime, all kinds of different things. A lot of them probably will be contractors at this point. But this would allow us to spend into the red, and then we'd have a couple of options at the end of the year. We could try to absorb it, perhaps using the Finance Committee reserve account. We could go to Maytown meeting and do a transfer from free cash, or the third option, which I would probably not be in favor of, and that would be to raise and appropriate it next year, because that would diminish the amount of money that we could raise for fiscal year 25.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Of course.
Has everybody had a chance to read through the declaration? I think it was great work, and covered all our bases.
And done so quickly. Thank
No,
you.
of course.
Before we move forward, I do want to just extend our sincere gratitude and thanks to all of the town departments who have been working tirelessly for a week now. The damage was obviously a little surprising to everybody, I think, and we couldn't do it without everybody working together. So,
And I just wanted to say that just data-wise, because I don't think there's another point where we'll really be able to share this during the meeting, but so far we have 192 damage forms from residents and 31 damage forms that have come from commercial and nonprofits. A lot of the damage forms, including 21 out of these total, don't have an estimate yet and therefore have not put forward a number. And we have not received a damage number from RCG yet or the toy company. But right now, based on preliminary numbers that we've received, the 192 residents are reporting $3,944,000 worth of damage, and the 31 forms from the commercial and nonprofit are reporting $5.3 million in damage. We're still collecting our numbers for the town damage. We have gotten numbers from the North Andover Housing Authority. They have $60,000, but we're continuing to get these all together. And we just wanted to also add that we did send up a follow-up. So if you filled out your initial form, you should have received an email from me today requesting more information that MEMA has requested. And then finally, we just sent a robocall out that MEMA has set up the Crisis Home Cleanup Hotline, which is hard to say on a robocall, by the way. And it is open now, and it is first come, first serve, and it is free. And the phone number is 617-207-5633, and we did send that out in a robocall, and North Andover CAM will be showing it on TV as well this week. And it is open to North Andover, Andover, Lawrence, and Haverhill and Methuen.
Listen, when you talk about like RCG's losses versus presumably their tenants, is that, do we know kind of how that breaks down in terms of what their obligations are as a landlord versus, are we talking just inventory and business interruption for the tenants? Do we have a sense of how that, or is RCG really just no lost rent, right? It's like infrastructure and those sort of things?
So RCG has a master lease. So they basically have the building, the windows, the roof, ceiling, the roof, the floors. So they'll be responsible for basically the building structure. So you'll be seeing two different things come forward. So for instance, we've received a claim form from the people who, the nonprofit for the wedding dresses. They've reported $3 million in loss of their stock and their fixtures. But we'll be seeing something else basically for the building envelope, and that would be coming from RCG.
Got it.
And I know their insurance company was coming out on Thursday, so I'm assuming we'll hear something from them
You
pretty
said,
soon.
are they the owner, the fee owner of the project?
RCG is the
Yeah,
owner.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
One
So
thing
what-
that just part of the conversation that kind of struck a chord in my brain, what about the people who are away or away for the summer?
So-
How do we make sure that they know they could have a problem or something?
Well, the robocall helps, I think.
Definitely.
But we have received quite a few on the form that say either I just returned home from vacation and don't yet have an estimate, or that my neighbor checked my house for me and sent me these pictures. So there certainly are people who are just coming back to finding damage. And so, you know, we are seeing that, and that was something that we all talked about as a group at the beginning of the week, saying, oh, there's gonna be an awful lot of people who may come home at the end of this week, kind of flipping their house from on Saturday or Friday and walking into damage, and we are seeing that as the forms are coming in.
Particularly because of the mold and mildew issue, in that it can be extremely expensive and extremely costly.
I think the cars too,
yes.
the cars from the lot, I think we'll see some of those people may have parked over there and now are coming back to
Coming
their
back.
car, yeah,
And Mark Basket Plaza.
yeah.
they were
Hey,
lower.
everybody, so Dick and Bruce are on the remote. Just want to
Thanks,
let you
Dick.
guys know we can hear you now.
Good. So I think I think we'll continue to see calls. I know talking with Chief Ware earlier today and Paul, they're still going out and pumping houses now. So
Yeah. And we can continue to tell residents to reach out if they need that help.
Yes.
Thank you.
yeah, we still do have the pumps again, and obviously this new Operation Cleanup is available too, and I think that's going to be helpful to people who maybe don't know how to clean. Looks like Chief Ware wants to say something.
Yes, come on up.
Name and address at the microphone.
We just want to let people know if they do need help, call the 68978-683-3168. Call the dispatch center. We have been getting some voicemails and come through, and, you know, if we're not in the station, we're not picking those up till a day or two later, some of them the way we've been out all week. So just remind everybody, you know, worst case, call 911 and say, I don't think it's an emergency right now. It's the same people, and they'll triage your call just so we can get out to try to help you.
Thank you.
Right, and Paul has sent out a reminder saying that if you have water and it has touched your hot water heater, your boiler, your washer, your dryer, or any of your electric outlets, you cannot use those, and that you do need an inspection. So we did send a call out on that, and I know that Paul received a lot of calls the next day in response to that one, so.
And how are people getting these estimates? Is it through their insurance company, or are they trying to guesstimate themselves, or?
It's kind of all over the place. Some of them are estimates and ballparks, some of them are from insurance companies, and some people have been sending me invoices from things that they either already had fixed or maybe had just gotten an estimate for. So it's definitely all over the place. What I've been doing is kind of, if somebody writes 10 to 12, using the $11,000 number just to do the math. But they're certainly coming in kind of everywhere. And I will say we have lost ranging from $400 to $3 million. So it is really a wide range.
And what was the commercial number again?
The commercial number
5.3 million.
is 5.3 right now.
Even with the $3 million in,
Yeah, that's 31 damage forms from commercial and
Only 31
nonprofit.
forms. That's not including RCG.
But it's not including RCG or the toy store, but it does include,
it's gotta be.
400,000.
they had mentioned at one point a $300,000 number to me.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Okay. Thank you.
no problem.
Any other comments? If not, I will take a motion.
I will move that the Select Board, with the authority delegated by Chapter 3, Section 2 of the North Andover Charter, and being the chief policymaking and rulemaking authority, vote that as of August 8th, 2023, a state of emergency is declared to exist in North Andover and authorizes and directs, under the direction and management of the town manager, all town personnel and agents to take action appropriate to respond to the situation, and ratifies, confirms, and adopts any related action taken prior to the formal adoption of this declaration, and that this declaration of emergency in the town of North Andover shall remain in effect until notice is given by the Board of Selectmen that such state of emergency no longer exists.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Need a roll
yeah,
call vote?
Need a
Oh,
Yeah.
roll call vote.
Oh, yeah. I think he read.
So Richard Valencourt, yes.
Perfect.
Rosemary Smith Daly, aye.
Laura Bates, yes?
Brian Roach, yes.
Janice Phillips, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so item B is to approve the disbursement of funds from the Affordable Housing Trust in the amount of $378,000 for a loan of $128,000 and a grant of $250,000 to Bread and Roses Housing to build 2 new affordable units at 20 Brown Court.
Madam Chair, due to the fact that I do have investment property nearby, I will recuse myself on this one.
Thank you.
So this is, again, the Bread and Roses project to really take over the distressed properties on Brown Court and then redevelop those properties into affordable units. It's a great cause. The 250 is the grant, and then the 128,000 is a loan that they came back to us for, looking for money for the, I believe they need additional money for the demo and other projects associated with, but primarily the demo. I think it was more than what they expected. So that would be a zero interest loan, which would be paid back at the time of closing.
Okay. Any
Okay.
questions?
I was just trying to understand how the loan works. So the AHT will be the mortgage holder? They'll make the loan?
The grantor, right?
Yeah. Or for the
Right, so
loan? Yeah, for the
money will
loan
come from the AHT account, which we have, we have that money set aside. We have it, right now it's unencumbered for that additional money, that additional funds. So as I said, it will be a loan until the closing, and it will be paid back at the time of
Okay.
closing.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll take a motion.
I move with the select board the select board authorize town manager Melissa Murphy Rodriguez to execute a grant agreement between the North Andover Affordable Housing Trust Fund and Bread and Roses Housing Incorporated, and approve disbursement of funds from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund in the amount of $378,000 for the acquisition of property located at 20 Brown Court, North Andover, Massachusetts.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, roll call vote, please.
Richard Valencourt, yes?
Laura Bates, yes?
Brian Roach, yes?
And Janice Phillips, yes, with 1 abstention. Okay. Item C tonight is a discussion and possible vote to use a certain sum of money from the Columbia Gas funds held by ECCF for flood relief.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So something that we've been working on is whether or not we should use some of the leftover Columbia Gas funds, which the balance in the account currently is $460,000 for relief for residents. So the program that we have drafted, or that we envision, would only be available to residents who have submitted the damages paperwork. So we know that at least it was counted towards our MEMA amounts. We're hoping that the program will be administered by ECCF, who is actually currently the holder of the money. If not, we are prepared to administer the grant program internally. We've been thinking that the funding could be available towards the replacement of major appliances like hot water heaters, boilers, washing machines, dryers, and electrical systems. I'm sure either Chief Ware or our Building Commissioner Hutchinson could tell you that that's really what we're seeing from residents at this point. In fact, they've already come in and started to pull permits, so this is, I think, entirely needed. The replacement funds would only be used towards items not covered or not covered entirely by insurance. We had envisioned capping the amount at $2,500 per resident and capping the program at this time at $250,000, figuring if we spent the entire $250,000, we could always come back and revisit. We would start collecting applications on a rolling basis as soon as either ECCF or we were ready to start the program and continue to accept them until the fund is depleted.
Madam Chair, is this appropriate for me to ask you that maybe the possible use of ARPA funds? Or would you prefer that after this?
So I think we certainly could use ARPA funds. I think we may decide that we want to supplement the program, but to me, the Columbia Gas money, because it is disaster-oriented and supposed to be for resident relief, kind of makes sense in this case. We may decide that we want to do this for residents, and then we want to have a separate, once we hear back from MEMA and FEMA, we want to have a separate bucket that we use for businesses, and maybe ARPA funds would be an appropriate use for that. But we thought of these funds because we saw them as disaster relief already. And we figured that working with ECCF, we'd be able to kind of quickly implement the program.
Thank you, Madam Town Manager. Sorry about that. I called her Madam Chair.
I didn't notice, so it's fine.
How did we come to have a surplus in the Columbia Gas funds to begin with?
So it's not really a surplus. What happened was, when we had the settlement, a certain amount of funding, and Laurie or someone else would be able to talk to this probably better since they were here. We had a certain amount of funding that was available for different types of community programming. We've used a lot of it, and we have some of it earmarked for one final project that's a community development downtown project. This is the same money that we used to do the gift card program twice, that we've used for grants during COVID. We just haven't used it all.
So in the settlement, it's unrestricted funds?
It's unrestricted.
So we could, right? So
Yes,
there's nothing-
absolutely.
Okay.
Separate from the 1.5 million that is for the energy efficiency.
Yes.
For the town.
And it's not like the street money or any of that. This was a separate account that was supposed to be used for stuff like this.
And in the event, let's just say we allocate $250,000, and does that then get taken off of our MEMA total?
No.
They don't count that as, hey, insured money or?
No, it would
Okay.
probably, if anything, I think we go, Jeff looks like his hand up, but the way I was looking at it was that it would end up being a municipal expense. But go ahead, Jeff.
I just want to make sure it doesn't lower our
Yeah.
threshold that we're trying to get to.
It's all well and good, but what you have to be careful of is how you phrase this money that's going out. Because as what's happened in the past, when people have had national flood insurance and FEMA reimbursement, they ended up not getting paid immediately or long-term until one is settled and one is deducted from the other. So be very careful how you phrase this money is going out there. I'm not sure the proper, maybe town council would have a better handle on that, way of phrasing that, to be sure that, you know, this is just going out is a supplement or something along. I wouldn't put it in reimbursement for disaster or anything along those lines, because if FEMA gets involved, they could actually end up harming the reimbursement process or delaying it dramatically.
I haven't come to it with the word grant, but I will have Christine look at it to see if she thinks there's a word that would better work before we put the criteria
Right.
out.
Just be cautious of that. That's something that I recommend.
Okay,
Not an issue giving it out, just be careful how you phrase it.
okay.
Thank you.
So I'll make sure that she's satisfied with the word grant rather than reimbursement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, we certainly don't want to slow down any money. We want to get every nickel we can out of this, you know.
And it helps to bridge the gap for those families. There are so many families that have huge out-of-pocket expenses right now that they aren't prepared to
And as I
pay for, and it's not a ton of help, but it's, you know, we'll do the best that we can to.
And it's something that I said to the governor, and I believe I said it to the local paper, that this is the same general neighborhood where Columbia Gas, and then COVID, and now this. These people have been hit really hard. Not everybody, I mean, it's spotty, but still, it's a lot.
Well, some of these boilers that are impacted are the ones
Brand
that
new.
went in
New
5 years
boilers.
ago. Yeah.
Well, what,
I
4
just-
years old at the
yeah.
most?
Yeah,
years old,
Fine.
the same dates on them.
yeah.
Oh.
2018.
28.
And I think just a reminder to people that we do not know yet if we're going to qualify for
That's
MEMA
right.
and FEMA assistance. We're doing our best to work with other communities, try to get those numbers up, but they are high thresholds. So things like this grant program and the home cleanup assistance are all going to be important in case we don't qualify.
In presuming we move forward with a certain amount, how soon could we have dollars deployed, do you expect?
So I would work with town council on drafting the actual program. We kind of put down some bullet points yesterday and threw them around the staff, including poor Andrew, who's supposed to be on vacation and is sitting right there. But that's all right. So we got some kind of bullet points down yesterday. After you do your approval, we'll get working on actually drafting a program, and then just confirm with ECCF. I've seen emails kind of back and forth that they are willing to help us with monitoring the program. So as long as they're able to do the administration, we should be able to get this moving pretty quickly.
Faster
Yeah.
than FEMA?
Fast,
Yeah, much
by
faster
a
than
long
FEMA.
shot, yes.
Probably faster than the paperwork is due, but that's okay.
Definitely.
So are we suggesting $250,000 right now? Is that the request?
That's what we're recommending.
Okay.
I will say that one thing that is coming up, and that we just need to think about too, and I will run this by them, is whether or not we want this money to be available to pay for permit fees as well. Like when people are pulling a permit here in town.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't want to charge them. 'Cause when they have to pull a permit to put in a new boiler?
Yes, I mean, we
Okay.
right now, they're paying permit fees, and it's not on the agenda to waive them. Is this something that this
It
funding could
be
also be used
part
to?
of the program, yeah.
That's what I mean, could this funding be used to pay the permit fee as well?
Could we talk about waiving
Or
the
just waive it.
permit fee?
We did not during Columbia Gas, because there is a lot of costs that go towards the departments doing the inspections. So
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I thought we did.
I do not believe we did, right? Did we not waive the fees during?
I
I
was
lied.
gonna say, I
We
thought
did.
you
I
did.
thought we did not.
And I know it was
Um,
hard on
yeah.
your department.
Is this the kind of
This is
deficit
a
spending we'll be talking about?
I think they were paid by.
Oh, Columbia
They were
Gas paid them.
supposed to be,
Oh.
what
That's
I
right.
think, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure that happened.
I think
Yeah.
Lori's right on that.
Columbia
They were
Gas paid
supposed to
them.
be.
We waived them, but they were paid.
Okay.
Well, then I would want them to be paid. I don't want people to be paying out-of-pocket permit
Right.
fees to the town for this. I just don't think that's fair.
So I'm wondering if we can think about using either these fees or perhaps putting forward a separate, maybe Paul and I can touch base and we can think about whether a separate opera application for what the average permit fee would be or something. But
Because we're talking about 100 homes, 150.
Usually it's not like that, for us like that, it's about 100.
yeah, come up here so we can hear you
Come
on
on up
TV.
and
sorry.
talk to us.
Name, address, and rank.
Funny. The average is probably gonna be around $110.
Okay.
Some are gonna be as low as 30 to 40. I mean, this is
And you're
a lot.
talking about 100 homes, maybe,
I'm
More than
talking,
that.
more.
Yep,
Okay.
I've been to 160 just about,
Okay.
and
more than that.
some can be fixed, but they still have other damage besides that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And a lot of basements are finished in these neighborhoods, and like I said, they did have the 2018 dates on the hot water heaters, on the furnaces, they're newer, so.
So I'll tell you like $8,000 to $12,000 all in, somewhere in that range.
I would say,
For
yeah.
permit fees, yeah.
So we can just do a separate application, I think, for that.
Okay.
I don't want to hook it onto this because it's not on the agenda.
Yep.
But it's something that we've been kind of talking about how we want to handle that. And I don't know that waiving is like the best because I don't want to set precedent, so I think I'd rather see us figure out a way to supplement it some other way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. That makes
That could
sense.
be an opera use, maybe,
absolutely.
one time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll
Okay.
put that on your agenda on August 28th.
Because it's a one-time thing too, right? Like, it's not like
Exactly.
we're missing out on new construction or something.
And then the commissioner and I
Hopefully,
can touch
a
base
one-time.
about how to handle the ones that come in from now to the 28th.
Okay, thank you. Okay, other questions or discussion? Jeff, come on up.
I was just checking with the fire chief to see if we've had any homes that had 18 inches of water in the primary living area. But if we do run into that situation, Red Cross possibly has some additional funding to take care of these situations. Just wanted to make you aware of that.
But
Thank you.
we are all seeing the couches that are on the side of the house or in
Right.
front of the house.
Right.
So, you know,
But
well, that
usually-
must
and I
have been
think
in the basement.
Paul can confirm this. I think the reason why they say 18 is most receptacles are 14 to 18 inches off the, so that would be affected.
Above
Correct, Paul?
electrical.
Yeah. So I think that's why they set the criteria at 18 inches. So if they had like 6 inches, no, but 18 inches, something to bear in mind. Chief wasn't aware or off the top of his head if we had any that met that qualification, but you may see something. Just want to let you know.
I think we had one on the form that came up to the first floor. I'll try to find it again.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So if there is no further discussion, I will take a motion based on the $250,000 number that we were just talking about.
Move that the select board approve the use of up to $250,000 from the Columbia Gas Discretionary Fund to be used for a grant program for flood-impacted residents and businesses.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. I need to take a roll call vote.
Richard Valencourt, yes?
Okay.
Rosemary Smedili, aye.
Laura Bates, yes?
Brian Roach, yes.
And Janice Phillips, yes. Okay. Any other discussion? Again, a sincere thank you to all of the people who are sitting in the room with us tonight, and even the neighbors helping neighbors. You know, as always, our community pulls together. Incredible work of the town hall staff. It's just been remarkable, and we're really grateful to live in such a wonderful community. So.
Absolutely. It's kind of upsetting that you're all back again.
I know.
So soon. But the good news is, we know how to mobilize, and you guys you've been great. You're all great. Town's very lucky to have you all, so thank you.
I'm never surprised, but always amazed by
Yeah,
how
that's a
this,
good
how
thing.
this town pulls together. So, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. That being said, our next meeting date is scheduled for Monday, August 28th. We will see if that holds. And I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. We need a roll call vote.
Richard Valencourt, yes?
So, Rosemary Smedili, aye.
Laura Bates, yes?
Brian Roach, yes.
And Janice Phillips, yes. Thank you all.
Thank you.